Care Chats. Care Chats with Tanya, Mark, and Nick. Care Chats. Care Chats with Tanya, Mark, and Nick. Grab a mug of care and join us for some Care Chats with Tanya, Mark, and Nick.
Yes, please.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Nick Venegoni, he, they, and I'm here by myself today. Tanya Mark is out doing their own thing this week, but I am here to talk about movement practices with my good friend, John Galloway today. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Nick. It's really, really fun to finally be here with you.
I know, it's been a long time in the making. So, John is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for a number of years now, and he is a practitioner. Would you call yourself a practitioner, a teacher, a facilitator?
A practitioner and instructor.
Okay. John is a practitioner and instructor of a particular body movement practice called Breema, which I first learned about going to a sort of like a whole living expo here in San Francisco. This was before I met John, and I saw these people doing these interesting movement practices, both solo and in partners, on a rug on the floor. And I was like, what is that? And I never quite figured out what it was until I met John. And I was like, oh, you practice that. Tell me more about it. What's this Breema thing? So tell us, John, what is this Breema thing we're talking about today?
Well, it's not a salad dressing. It is not a diet plan. Breema is it's a bodywork modality, but it's to me it's more than that. It's also a practical philosophy of just how I can experience life more present in my day. And maybe as we go, I can talk about what the principles are that we work with. And the bodywork is the vehicle through which I can have that experience. There's hundreds of Breema exercises, a lot of them partner bodywork. So that could be, like you and I have practiced Breema together before. And what we just simply call self-Breema exercises, which are, I think of them as just kind of a moving meditation in a way. It's an opportunity through different types of gentle movements to, again, afford myself the experience of coming to the present, knowing that I have a body, knowing that I exist, and seeing that I'm just this physical form and this name is just kind of or maybe what I do in the world is really only kind of part of the equation. It's a way that in my own practice I connect to really kind of like I can have a taste of being part of the whole of existence, which helps me get out of this, kind of identification with all the stuff that's happening in our often busy lives.
Yeah. I remember one of the ways I heard you describe it once, which I liked, which I usually start with when I describe it to other people, is it's a body-based mindfulness practice. Which I like, but then I thought about it and I was like, well, most movement or body work practices are that if people choose to be mindful, and hopefully they are being mindful. Hopefully my massage therapist is being mindful as they're working with my body and they're not on autopilot. Or, even with yoga is definitely a mindfulness practice, although I've never heard a yoga teacher say that. But even when I'm practicing body work on clients, I don't practice Breema. I practice something that is more slow and more still, but it's still about mindfulness. Neuroaffective touch is the practice that I use with my clients. But it's still a mindfulness practice, just noticing what's happening in my body and their body, and my mind and their mind, with the breath, with the movement, etc. So, can you share a little bit more with us, like what Breema looks like? So you've talked about like partner Breema and then solo Breema. How are those different?
Sure. And maybe after having done Breema for so many years, the distinction starts to break down. Like, what is a you? What is a me? What is the
Uh-huh.
floor? I'm looking at my breakfast table right now, and experiencing it not conceptually, like, well, me and my coffee mug are one, and is one way to look at it. But really, in truth, we're just all, as Joni Mitchell says, we're all just stardust, kind of swirling around. And can I come to that an experience of myself as being no different than, you or the house plant that I'm looking at right now, actually, and not just as a concept or something that I kind of take on faith. One thing that one of my instructors a long time ago would say is that this is a self-verified teaching, so that anything that I say, don't take for granted or take on the surface, like, you and existence are one or no different. So I put something into practice, and I really look into, what's the meaning of that, or how does that apply to me? Is that actually my experience? And then the body work becomes the vehicle for doing that. So if I am, like this morning before we started meeting, I was doing some self Breema exercises, and I just have the wish to see that, like, do I actually know that I'm doing this? Because my mind exists in the past and future. I'm thinking about something that I said last night, and I'm like, wow, I wish I hadn't said that to that person, or, wow, I need to, show up for some work later today. And the mind is always doing this thing. And that in doing the partner body work, I think really gives me an opportunity to see me and my recipient are no different. But at the same time, like, something is happening. There's an exchange of energy that's happening. And I don't focus on that. I'm not thinking like I'm balancing their chi, but maybe that's happening. What's so interesting in both the partner body work and in self Breema is that this emphasis is on the practitioner, which is maybe that was sort of a mind blowing emoji when I first started doing Breema. Was this, and it differs from what you described in working, let's say, like with a massage therapist and receiving, is that in this therapeutic mode, it's this: I'm giving, I'm helping, I'm healing, I'm giving this other person this thing,
Mm.
this experience. Whereas in Breema, the emphasis becomes on the practitioner.
Mm.
How am I when I'm with you, when I'm holding, when I'm maybe brushing down the arm, or I'm doing self Breema and I'm brushing down my own arm? Am I really with that activity, and can that support me to be present? And then both people benefit as a result of that. But I'm not trying to confer benefit. I'm not trying to give you anything in particular. I'm just creating an atmosphere of mutual support where both people can experience vitality. And I would use the word maybe vitality over healing in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
And I can put that into practice. It isn't like, oh, now I'm doing massage therapy and then that is somehow different. I can put all of the Breema principles into practice as I'm giving someone a different type of work, or I'm at the grocery store. Like, it isn't just something I do in a treatment room with a client or with myself at home doing self Breema. It's something that I can walk with in daily life and put into practice. And that's what I mean by that self-verified aspect of the teaching, to see, is this something that applies to me and that I can benefit from? And then I can be available as benefit to anybody that I encounter in life, whether we're doing Breema or not.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it'd be good at this point to give people a visual of like what it actually looks like. And I can start, since I've I've both given and received, because I've taken classes with you and with other folks, but I'm not a practitioner like you. So, it can look like a variety of different things. It can look like very gentle movement. As John said earlier, there's some brushing. of different parts of the body, usually on the extremities, the arms, the legs, the hands, the feet, maybe a bit on the head. There can be some gentle rocking and different kinds of motions, whether it's with the torso or the legs or anything like that. And there's also some parts that can be very stimulating. I mean, I think one of the things that I like is and when I say slapping, it's not violent, but it is a kind of like firm tapping with the whole hand on parts of the body. Like, and what I actually like is when you do it on the bottoms of the feet. It's kind of invigorating but relaxing at the same time. There's some gentle stretching that can happen. But again, it's not, as John said, it's not meant to be massage or body work. It's about presence and about movement and about these combinations of things just put together.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else
Yeah.
would
And
you add?
yeah, and just supporting the body to be relaxed
Mm-hmm.
and let go of some of the concepts and the, just kind of the day-to-day stressors that we experience, and creating this atmosphere of non-judgment. So I think you described it really well. Slapping. Let me see if I want to use that in a class. That might be a fun word.
Well,
I would
what
say,
would you call that? Would you call that?
yeah, tapping, but I think you're right. Like on the soles of the feet, I love receiving that. That kind of vigorous tapping on the feet. There's a lot of holds. Just maybe
Yes,
holding the
the
belly,
holds.
or
Yeah.
what we call the hara, borrowing from a Japanese term. And so there may be like holding the hara, something as simple as that for 7 breaths, and we just don't receive that kind of touch usually,
No, it's very
right?
containing. It's very
Yeah.
regulating to the nervous system. It's feels very safe,
Mm-hmm.
or can feel very safe if you're okay being touched by other people. If you're holding for yourself, then
Yeah.
it can be very containing and safety orienting for the self too.
Well, yes, thank you for saying that. Like, so the container of safety and self care are really important, and in that sense, Breema's received and given fully clothed,
Mm-hmm.
with socks, because there are a lot of people that, particularly in the summer, will come to classes, and I guess maybe you're used to modalities like yoga where you aren't, and so it's fully clothed because it really takes that. I mean, one, it makes it for me more comfortable to receive, but it also takes out that notion of skin on skin. Like, is
Mm-hmm.
there, particularly in American culture, I don't at any point want to make not only my recipient uncomfortable, most importantly, but also myself. Like, if I'm in the question of am I touching appropriately? Should I? I may modify that or do something different so that that question isn't there. One of the cornerstone Breema principles, and we call them the 9 principles of harmony, is body comfortable. Whatever I'm doing, I want to see that my body's comfortable, and that's not a static thing. And so,
Mm-hmm.
in the instance we're talking about, if I realize that I have a question about, touching some area of the recipient, that I'm wondering if I'm already moving away from that principle of body comfortable. So I want to take a pause for the cause, as one of my friends calls it, and just see what needs to happen next in order to bring myself into more of that body comfortable, and using that kind of as the antenna and the guide, rather than I wonder if Nick is comfortable with this. Nick, are you comfortable with this? But rather seeing that I use my own body, that emphasis is on the practitioner, as the guide for what needs to happen in the sequence. And there are so you asked about what happens in a session. There are very specific sequences. It's not an intuitive improv kind of thing, though. As a longtime practitioner, I may string things together, and there's a little bit of that. But there are forms and sequences. There are names to the sequences and the self Breema. I mentioned earlier one I was teaching in a class last week. We do some online and in-person classes at the Breema Center here in Oakland, and the exercise was called "You Are More Real Than Your Thoughts." And I really want to look into that. I'm like, yeah, because if I just think that I'm my thoughts, I'm in trouble. Because there's
Mm-hmm.
just so much density up there. But to realize that another one is, how do you find this moment in the past or future? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, yep, you're right. Because when I'm in the past and future and in thought, I really sort of miss this, like the sweetness of what is present right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I can do that right now, taking a breath. I'm thinking about what I might want to say next, but I can also just, even registering one breath creates a little gap,
Mm-hmm.
creates a little space for something higher than myself to have influence and to be present,
Yeah.
and I can invite that in. And I think for me that is a large part of what Breema is it's using the body and the breath and the weight of the body as a way to kind of enter into this sacred space, this gap that is free from the association of my everyday life, from John and all of his aspects of the personality and whatnot.
Well, you're already kind of naming it, but I'm wondering if you want to say more or have other ways that you feel like you've benefited from practicing Breema.
The conversations that you hear in the world are often, well, I like this, but I don't like that. And I like this, but I don't like that. And that we're just in this string of associative thought. And the way I've benefited from Breema over the years is to just have the possibility to step a foot or a pinky toe above that line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's benefited my relationship to myself, relationships to friends and family members, putting the 9 principles of harmony, as we call them, into practice. um, I find that I show up differently for myself, and I'm not willing to accept discomfort for the sake of suffering. Like, I can see that whatever I'm doing, I can take as much time as I need to really have an experience of being present. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for those of you listening, if you're curious and trying out Breema, you can go to breema.com. Is that right?
Yes. And there's also Breema.online, which is
Okay.
another web address that has maybe just a little more streamlined and simpler way of reading about what Breema is and how to get connected. But Breema.com, Breema.online.
Yeah, so there are classes online that you could try out if there are not any places near where you are, or you could find a practitioner or a class to try out. Or if you want to, you can come and experience Breema with John on Saturday, August 1st in the Queer Spirit community. So John is going to be attending and co-facilitating our first Saturday Care Circle at 9 a.m. Pacific and offering a little taste of Breema during our Care Circle that day. So you can join us then.
That's sweet. And these are so simple. You can do them from wherever you are. Sitting, standing, whatever is an accessible way for you to experience it. And I very much look forward to it. It's always good to have, at least it'll be morning here in California, to have that kind of morning practice to set myself up even
Yeah.
better for my day. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for being here. And we hope that you all listening will join us on August 1st for some self Breema practice with John at our first Saturday Care Circle. Otherwise, you can also join us for a third Sunday Care Circle at 5 p.m. And all those links are in the show notes. So we hope you will join us then. Let's continue to take care of ourselves and each other.
Care Chats with Tanya, Mark, and Nick.